Good afternoon, everyone. It's Steve Lookner with Right Side Broadcasting coming to you with a news alert. NBC News is reporting this afternoon that federal investigators wiretapped the phone lines of Trump lawyer Michael Cohen. Again, NBC News reporting that federal investigators had a wiretap up on phone lines of Trump lawyer Michael Cohen. They are also reporting that at least one phone call between Michael Cohen and the White House was listened into. Now, there's a lot we don't know about this. I don't believe we even know if this technically was part of an investigation into Michael Cohen. I guess in theory it could have been an investigation into somebody else that involved them wiretapping Michael Cohen's phone lines. But federal investigators are investigating Michael Cohen. We do know that. So perhaps this wiretap was a part of this, but we don't know how long the wiretap went on. But NBC News is claiming that the wiretap was in place in the weeks before the raid on Michael Cohen's office and home and hotel room, and that happened in April. So it sounds like this wiretap was in place as of a couple months ago, and again, at least one phone call between Michael Cohen and the White House was listened into by federal investigators, according to NBC News. So we want to get into the details of this story, and I do think, with this story, who knows what the we still don't even know what the investigation into Michael Cohen concerns. It could concern personal tax stuff, or could concern other stuff, involving the president. Who knows? But regardless, even if it turns out that this wiretap doesn't involve investigating the president at all, it still could be an important story because President Trump, as many of you are aware, is very sensitive about wiretapping. So he famously, I guess you could say, accused the Obama administration of wiretapping Trump Tower. And President Trump was also reportedly upset that, and he said he's upset that his lawyer was raided, his lawyer's office was raided. And so it's regardless of what actually was listened into and what this investigation is about, just the very fact that President Trump's lawyer was wiretapped, and at least one call, according to NBC News, between the White House and a phone line associated with Michael Cohen, at least one of those phone calls was listened into. You could see President Trump might get angry about this. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we saw some kind of tweet from President Trump about this. And he might, regardless of the merits, he might consider this prosecutorial overreach. And also, the idea that a sitting president, it's a big deal if a sitting president is having phone calls listened into by federal investigators. Now, we don't know that if it's true that there was this one call listened into by the federal investigators between the White House and a phone line associated with Michael Cohen. We don't know if President Trump was on that call. But it is a serious deal, no matter who the president is, if you have federal investigators listening into phone calls involving the White House. So I'm guessing this could get President Trump angry, and also, there seems to be there is a division, at least among some people in this country, on the Mueller investigation, and this might not actually. This I believe might not be. For all I know, it's not part of the Mueller investigation. It could be part of an independent investigation into Michael Cohen. But my point is that in a climate where there's a split among some of the country on the Mueller investigation, this might exacerbate those feelings. So it's certainly, again, you have the issue of what exactly was being investigated here with Michael Cohen, and it could turn out that this is pretty inconsequential in terms of the investigation into Michael Cohen and or the president. But there's this whole other issue of how it looks publicly and how the public reacts, how various segments of the public react to hearing this news that the president's lawyer was being wiretapped, including conversations with the White House as of just, a couple of months ago. So we want to bring you updates on what this story is, and then you can decide for yourself how you think about it. So I'm going to show you this right now. And NBC News is reporting this, so I'm going to read you the NBC News article on it that contains the story. And if you want to comment on this, you can write to me on Twitter. @Lookner is the place to reach me. @Lookner on Twitter. @LOOKNER. And thank you to our moderators who are with us. I know Barbara Braley is moderating right now, and on our website, Common Sense and Gleno. I apologize. There might be some overlap between this stream and the stream covering the White House press briefing. I think that's supposed to start at 2. I'm not sure. Is that supposed to start at 2? Let me check here and see. But at worst, you can watch. You can either open both of them up at the same time, or watch one and then watch the others. So let's see. It's the White House press briefing is supposed to be at 2. Yeah, 2. That might start late though. So, anyways, feel free to watch both streams on Right Side Broadcasting. Okay, let's get into this story. So this just broke in the last hour or so. NBC News is reporting feds tapped Trump lawyer Michael Cohen's phones. At least one phone call between a phone line associated with Cohen and the White House was intercepted, a source said. Now, even if that's true, we don't know if Cohen was on the line. Might have been his phone. We don't know if Cohen was on the line. We don't know if Trump was on the line. There's a lot we don't know about this. But if it is true, that at least means that a phone call involving the White House was listened into by federal investigators. Hey, Edie Marie Loves Trump made a donation and said, swamp making sure no non-politician ever runs for president. Thank you, Edie Marie, for your donation. We are viewer supported, so we appreciate your donations. So let's get into this story here. These are the details from NBC News. NBC News says federal investigators have wiretapped. Ooh, let me just make sure you can hear me. I don't know if I did that yet. I think you can. So let's get good. Okay. Federal investigators have wiretapped the phone lines of Michael Cohen, the longtime personal lawyer for President Donald Trump, who is under investigation for a payment he made to an adult film star who alleged she had an affair with Trump, according to 2 people with knowledge of the legal proceedings involving Cohen. Now, another question here is who leaked this? Let's assume it is true and somebody leaked it. Who would have leaked this? I can imagine different answers to that, but maybe we'll get into that after we read the story. It is not clear, says the story, how long the wiretap has been authorized, but NBC News has learned it was in place in the weeks leading up to the raids on Cohen's offices, hotel room, and home in early April, according to one person with direct knowledge. That suggests that for several weeks in March, at least, this wiretap was going on. Who knows who Cohen was talking to? Maybe he talked to the president a number of times in that span, and those calls were listened in on. Maybe he talked with other people in the president's cabinet. Maybe he talked with Jared Kushner. I don't know. Maybe he talked with Sean Hannity, who also he did some work for. So, but apparently, for a few weeks at least in March, his phones were wiretapped. Phone lines plural. At least one phone call between a phone line associated with Cohen and the White House was intercepted. So that is really important because whoever was on that call, if that is true, that means just recently federal investigators were secretly listening in to a call involving the White House. Wow. Previously, federal prosecutors have said in New York in court filings that they've conducted covert searches on multiple email accounts maintained by Cohen, but I don't think we've ever heard of wiretaps on his phone lines. Spokespeople for the U.S. Attorney's Office and the FBI in New York declined comment after the raid. And to be clear, I don't believe this is part of the Mueller investigation. I believe this is part of the so Michael Cohen is being investigated by federal investigators. That investigation is not part of the Mueller investigation. If I'm remembering right, in the Mueller investigation, they turned up some stuff on Cohen, which led them to suggest to the U.S. Attorney's Office that Cohen be investigated, or federal investigators. But the Mueller investigation is the special counsel investigation is not this. The investigation into Cohen is being conducted by federal investigators, but it's separate from the Mueller investigation. Okay, so continuing the story here. The story was saying that, for at least a few weeks before early April, Michael Cohen's phone lines were being wiretapped by federal investigators. The story continues. After the raid on Cohen's, office, home, hotel room, members of Trump's legal team advised the president not to speak to Cohen, according to a person familiar with the discussion. Now, this is another very interesting piece of information, or alleged information, from this story. Two sources close to Trump's newest attorney, Rudolph Giuliani, say that Giuliani learned that days after the raid on Cohen's office, the president had made a call to Michael Cohen. And Giuliani told Trump to never call Cohen again out of concern for that the call was being recorded by prosecutors. So now we have no idea if they're actually still wiretapping Cohen's phone lines, but it seems like if that indeed was advice that Giuliani gave Trump, it wasn't the worst advice. The story goes on. Giuliani, this is just details about last night, told Fox News Wednesday night that Trump repaid Cohen the $130,000 he used to keep the adult film star Stormy Daniels from going public with allegations about her affair with Trump. So let me just read this first. Giuliani is also described as having warned Trump that Cohen is likely to flip on him, something Trump pushed back on, telling Giuliani that he has known Cohen for years and expects him to be loyal, according to two sources with direct knowledge of the conversation. So I don't know anything about that, but I want to point out one thing here. So last night, Rudy Giuliani went on, I believe it was Hannity, and he said that President Trump repaid Michael Cohen for the $130,000 that Cohen used to pay to Stormy Daniels to keep her silent before the election about her allegations of her affair with Trump. Now, I did read an interesting theory last night that somebody posted. Somebody was saying, because people were like, well, why is Giuliani saying that last night when President Trump has previously denied knowing anything about the payment to Michael Cohen, about this payment to Stormy Daniels, I think that's what Trump had denied. Also, I don't believe Trump had said before that he had reimbursed Michael Cohen. But anyways, there was this question as to why the story was changing last night, apparently changing. And someone had a theory, which was, and I have no idea, about the merits of this theory. I'm just throwing this out there as an interesting theory. Someone's theory was Giuliani believes that they got information from Michael Cohen when they raided his office. It seems like Giuliani thought that Cohen's phone lines were wiretapped. So maybe Giuliani thinks that the federal investigators now have information, and that's why he's saying this stuff, because he thinks the federal investigators know it anyway. No idea if that's the case. It's just an interesting theory as to why Giuliani would have said the stuff he said last night. Because maybe he's just saying stuff that he thinks federal investigators now know, so there's no need to try and hide it any longer. I don't know. I thought that was an interesting theory. Anyways, let's finish up the story. I want to get to your comments on this. Blah, 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 blah. This is just background stuff. The Cohen investigation is being led by the U.S. Attorney's Office in Manhattan and the FBI. Again, it is not part of the Mueller investigation. Investigators are looking into the $130,000 transaction between Cohen and adult film star Stormy Daniels. Investigators are also seeking information about the Access Hollywood tape. I have a bit of a problem with the way the story is written. I had read earlier there were reports that Michael Cohen might have been being investigated for. This makes it sound like all Michael Cohen is being investigated for is the Stormy Daniels thing and maybe the Access Hollywood thing. There's all kinds of things he could be investigated for, and I vaguely remember reading people. It was a couple weeks ago, so I can't remember it word for word, but I vaguely remember reports that he was being investigated for other things. Again, for example, they could be investigating him for tax violations or something. So, this article should do a better job of saying, well, they could be investigating him for a lot of things, and it makes it sound like they're investigating him for just these two things. Let's see. Cohen has asserted in court that much of the material gleaned in the raid should be protected from the eyes of prosecutors under attorney-client privilege. Former U.S. Attorney Chuck Rosenberg, now an NBC News analyst, says there's a high bar for having a wiretap approved. The affidavits are typically highly detailed and carefully vetted by experienced lawyers. He said in all cases the wiretap must be approved by a federal judge. Rosenberg said that wiretaps are usually approved for an investigation into a current crime and not solely for possible crimes that have been committed in the past. So, again, we have no idea if it's true that there's this wiretap that was on Michael Cohen's phone lines, okay? And if it's true that that this wiretap was part of the investigation to Michael Cohen, we still don't know what specific... to wiretap someone, to get a wiretap, you have to specify what crime or crimes you're looking into. You can't just say, we think this person's a bad person, give us a wiretap. So we have no idea if this wiretap existed, what specific crime or crimes were the ones that the Fed cited when they went to a judge to get this wiretap. But regardless of all those details, we don't know. What the story is saying, if it's true, is that for at least a few weeks, it sounds like in March, Michael Cohen's phone lines were being listened to by federal investigators. They were secretly being wiretapped by federal investigators. So anyone, I guess, Cohen talked to, if the wiretap was just a general one, could have been listened in on without knowing. And at least one phone call with the White House, reportedly, from one of Michael Cohen's phone lines was listened in on. And for all you know, Michael Cohen, during that wiretapping time, talked to President Trump more than once, talked to people in Trump's cabinet or Trump's family. We don't know. So, sure, regardless of the details of the investigation, the very fact that this has happened, reportedly, that federal investigators, including the FBI, were wiretapping Michael Cohen's phones and listening into at least one phone call with the White House, that's going to be a hot button issue for many people, I'm assuming including the president. So we'll have to see if the president, I'm guessing we'll get some sort of reaction from the president at some point about this. I'll have to see if there's any yet. But anyways, we want to hear from you on this story. So what do you think about this story? Give me a shout on Twitter, @Lookner on Twitter, @Lookner on Twitter. We want to hear from you and get your comments on this. And I forgot to open the Periscope chat so I can see. Welcome to everybody watching on Periscope and Facebook and Twitter as well as YouTube. And thanks again to our moderators who are moderating the chat room. And to remind you, we are viewer supported, so if you like Right Side Broadcasting, if you like having an alternative to the mainstream media to get your news, we would ask that you consider donating, because your donations are what keeps us on the air. You can donate by going to the bottom of the YouTube chat, click on the $sign, the little $sign at the bottom of the YouTube chat, or go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. All right, I want to get to your comments and see what you guys have been saying, if anybody's written into me so far. Let me check. All right, so Elaine Dennis, our viewers, is not happy about this. She says, WTF, not sure what Director Wray is doing, but it's past time to rein in the rogue divisions. Something I was wondering about. So I'm assuming, I'd be shocked if this was the case. So let's assume that, I think it's safe to assume that the federal authorities, they went through proper channels and they got approval for a judge for this wiretap. So all they did was technically legal. What I don't know is, regardless of the legality of the wiretap, is there some kind of convention where you either don't listen on to calls that involving the White House, or if federal investigators are wiretapping somebody who's talking to the president, is there some kind of convention where they would let the president know, hey, by the way, we are conducting a wiretap? Now, that might sound kind of crazy to you. You might think, well, why should they let somebody who knows the person know. But the person is the president, and it seems like you might get, if you're wiretapping calls involving the president, there are reasons federal investigators might not want to do that and might not want that publicity. And so I could imagine a world in which federal investigators found some way to give the president a heads up about this. I don't know if this happened or if it does happen or if it's a convention or not, or maybe I'm crazy. Just something I was wondering about. Let's see here. I'm just checking comments here. Alexis in New Hampshire, our viewer, wrote in Unreal to commenting on my a story that one of the phone calls with the White House was listened in to by federal investigators. See, and I'm getting a lot of reactions. I posted. One of the things I posted was the part of the story that said at least one phone call between a phone line associated with Cohen and the White House was intercepted. And as I was saying, that's a big deal when you have federal investigators listening into the phone calls involving the White House. So a number of people are clearly angry about it. They're writing to me. Let me show you another one. This comes from Notorious Augusto P. He says, this is reason enough to fire Mueller and shut it down. Sessions has authority to, since Cohen has nothing to do with Russia or what he recused himself from. This is a violation of executive privilege and national security. So a number of my followers and our viewers are upset that that federal investigators were listening to at least one phone call involving the White House, if this report is true. This is an interesting, and I was wondering about this. So our viewer, John Sabatini, writes, I swear the SP Council, I don't know what that is, Special Prosecutor Council, okay. Basically he's saying, I swear the Special Prosecutor's Office is putting stuff out there, trying to bait Trump to do something major. Don't fall for it, Mr. President. Now, I have no idea who's leaking this stuff. If this story about the wiretap on Michael Cohen was clearly leaked by someone to NBC News, there are different theories on who might have done it. So look, I'll give you a couple theories. One theory is something like John Sabatini said, is that somebody's leaking this who doesn't like President Trump, and they're hoping to get him angry by leaking this stuff and maybe make him do something that he'll regret legally later. Another theory, though, would be that somebody found out about this who's sympathetic to President Trump and leaked it because he thinks it makes federal investigators look bad to be wiretapping calls involving the White House. Now, there's this whole, debate about how the president should be approaching this and how the White House is approaching this whole investigation issue. But one theory is that the president's main concern is just not to get impeached, and that this theory would say anything the White House can do to make the Mueller investigation seem partisan in nature would benefit the White House, because when it comes down to it, if half the country likes the Mueller investigation and half the country hates the Mueller investigation, then you're not going to have the feeling in the country required to eventually get impeachment, because for impeachment you need 2/3 of the Senate, and if Republican voters all are sympathetic with President Trump, or mostly are sympathetic with President Trump, you're probably not going to get half the 2/3 of the Senate to vote for impeachment, because the Republicans won't go along. So somebody might claim putting stuff like this out there, leaking that the federal investigators are wiretapping Trump's lawyer and even wiretapping phone calls involving the White House, putting that out there might get Republicans really upset even more at Mueller, even though this is not part of the Mueller investigation. People might not make that distinction. People might see this as more federal Justice Department and federal investigator overreach and bias against President Trump. So, there's multiple reasons we could have think, and this might have been leaked today. Who knows who leaked it? But something you can speculate about. By the way, thank you. Tia Marie made a donation. We appreciate that, Tia Marie. Your donations keep us on the air. Thank you. Our viewer, Christy H., well, not our viewer, she follows me, maybe she views us as well. She wrote in response to the news, the report that a phone call involving the White House and Cohen's phone line was wiretapped. She said, "This is unbelievable." Deplorable Hockey Man sent me a tweet, which I'll show you in a second. Hang on. Deplorable Hockey Man says, "The reason the country is split on this is Robert Mueller was appointed to find a crime not because of one, and Hillary Clinton committed crimes and her lawyer was given immunity. Does that sound right? Is that America where Justice Lady Liberty is blind?" So, Deplorable Hockey Man, not a fan of the Mueller investigation. But, news like today's news, given that there are people out there who are not fans of the Mueller investigation, news like this to me is not going to make them the people who are already against Mueller and think that there's bias against President Trump in the federal Justice Department and the justice system, and this kind of story is likely to make a lot of them think those thoughts even more. So, regardless of what effect it has on the investigation. Hey, I want to mention something real quick before we continue. I want to read more of your comments, so write to me on Twitter, @Lookner with your thoughts on this story. Again, we are reporting on this story that just came out this afternoon. NBC News says that President Trump's personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, was wiretapped for at least several weeks. His phone lines were wiretapped. It sounds like this happened around in March and April. In the several weeks before the early April raid on Michael Cohen's office, his phone lines were wiretapped. So they were listening in, federal investigators were listening in on his phone calls, and one of the calls, according to NBC News, included a call with the White House. So we are reporting on that right now, and we're taking your comments on the air @Lookner on Twitter. I just want to say, a lot of you know, if you've watched the network regularly, that I am going to be transitioning to doing my own channel, and we are going to have a new anchor or anchors here at Right Side Broadcasting, and people have been asking, where can I find, Steve, your new channel when you're no longer here at Right Side? So to answer that all at once, I just want to real quick mention that. So if you're looking for the new channel, it's not active yet because I'm here, but the new channel, to find the new channel, you just go to Agenda Free TV. That's what it's going to be called, and I'll show you here. Best way to find it is this. Go to Agenda Free TV on Twitter. That's going to be the new channel, Agenda Free TV, and all one word, Agenda Free TV. And there's a link there you can click on, Agenda Free TV. You can click on the link, and then you get the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel has no content on it now. I think if you search for Agenda Free TV on YouTube, you won't even find this channel yet. So what you really should do, if you want to find the channel, and you can subscribe to it, and then you'll know when we're doing live videos. So sometime this is going to happen pretty soon, this transition. So best way to find it, though, go to Agenda Free TV on Twitter, Agenda Free TV. You can also go there on Facebook, Agenda Free TV. And on both Facebook and Twitter, I've posted links to the new channel on YouTube. So you can click that link, find the new channel. And I hope you watch those videos as well as keep watching the videos on Right Side Broadcasting. And I want to point out that you will see very soon on Right Side Broadcasting somebody who's very talented, and I think you're going to enjoy. Tara Broderick, you might have seen her helping to cover the Trump rally last weekend. She's going to be appearing soon doing news coverage on Right Side, and you can follow her on Twitter at TaraRSBN, @TaraRSBN. Okay, I want to get to your comments, back to your comments on this story that we're covering about this wiretapping of President Trump's lawyer. What do you think? Our viewer Lock Them Up writes, WTFE, FBI trying to take Trump down before they are exposed. It's a rat race. Who will take down who first? Here's another comment from a viewer I'm going to read. Give me one sec. Our viewer Meta Dieter writes, the intelligence and federal law enforcement agencies have too much power and discretion to look in the private lines of citizens, let alone the White House. Excuse me. They are being enabled by judges and courts that are all too willing to bend the Constitution to their personal will. Oh, by the way, people are asking in the chat room about saying, like, is it okay if you're talking about your new channel on Right Side? Yes. Just so you know, everybody, to make this clear, I have told everyone at Right Side, including CEO Joe, that I'm going to be talking about the new channel. You know what I spoke about with Joe was that, you know, we did a video about a little over a month ago saying this transition was going to happen, but we're getting very close. It'll probably be in the next few days. And so what Joe and I talked about is that as we get really close to the transition, as we promised earlier, I would mention a couple times on the air where people can find the new channel. So, and also let you know about Tara, who's going to be doing the coverage here. So just so you know, when I mention in these yesterday and today, when I've been mentioning where to find the new channel, that's something that I've talked about with Right Side and with Joe Seals. And we're doing that because it's going to happen very soon. So I didn't want to just not one day not be here and have you be like, what's going on? And also, you know, now you have a little more idea who Tara is and that she's going to be doing it. So just so you know, this is not something I am sneaking into the broadcast. It's something that we're doing just because I have been getting a lot of questions about it and people have been messaging me on the broadcast. So, you know, we wanted to let you know about it. But it's all approved. It's all on the up and up and everything. Thank you, Paul Clark, for your nice words. Let's see. We got another message here. Chris Douglas sent me a message, a couple messages, but he starts off by writing off the record. So, Chris, I'm not sure. Do you mean that you don't want these messages read on the air? I won't read them on the air because it sounds like you might not want them read on the air. I'll read them later. Let me know if that's wrong. Here's a message from another viewer. Hold on, I just need to capture it here so I can get it on the screen for you. This is from our viewer, Chris. Chris says, Steve, we are all very pissed that this is out of control. Mueller is doing everything he can against POTUS. Now, again, just to clarify, this wiretapping is not part of the Mueller investigation, but let me let you make your point, Chris. Chris says, this is going to destroy our country. Mueller was hired by Dirty Rosenstein for Russian collusion. He's been cleared, so he is now going after him for whatever he can. This will start a civil war if they illegally remove the president. So as I was saying, regardless of all the details about this, I do think that the people who were not supportive of the Mueller investigation a lot of them are likely to be even more non-supportive after the news comes out that President Trump's lawyer has been wiretapped in recent weeks and that a phone call involving the White House was listened into. A message from our viewer named Truth Teller. I want to read that to you. Write to me on Twitter with your comments at Lookner. Here it is. Truth Teller writes in, let's remember that the supposed wiretap warrant FISA court on Trump during the campaign was obtained by a false dossier paid for by Hillary and the DNC, previously Jeb Bush as well. This sounds like more of the same going on, legal but through false in documents and reasoning. And we don't know right now how this wiretap was obtained. We don't know, what the request said when the federal investigators went to a judge and said, hey, we want to wiretap Michael Cohen. I'd be interested in knowing, does it play a part with the judge and or the FBI? Is it a consideration that if they get a wiretap on Michael Cohen, phone calls being listened into might involve the president. I don't know. I know nothing about this. It's just an interesting consideration. Let's see here. Luke, hold on. A viewer wrote in. I want to show you this message. Hang on one sec. No, that's not where it is. Where did it go? Okay, there's that. There's that. I'm getting Luke's message on the air. Here we go. Oh, hold on a second. Hey, I got some news for you guys. There's a Trump rally on May 10th. Look at that. Trump rally May 10th. I got to text Joe. I bet he doesn't even know. Hey, I just got that email. How about that? So anyways, we'll cover that for you here at Right Side Broadcasting. Okay, Luke says Trump better get involved and force a shutdown and flip the screen on Democrats or they'll go after his whole family. If he gets impeached, you will see a civil war. People aren't going to put up with it. Thank you, JC, for your nice comments. And JC is now moderating along with Barbara, and Jude is there. We appreciate all of our moderators. Thank you, thank you, thank you. A lot of comments today. I like reading the comments. Pete Hudsbury wanted me to read this tweet from Lawrence Tribe. Pete Hudsbury wanted me to read this tweet from Lawrence Tribe, and this tweet says, to get a warrant to wiretap Michael Cohen's phone conversations, the FBI had to comply with highly stringent rules and standards laid down by the Supreme Court in Katz versus U.S., blah, 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 blah. And in an opinion I helped Justice Stewart draft for the court as his law clerk. Thank you, Elizabeth Burwell, on your nice comment. JC says, Steve, where's that rally on May 10th? Hey, let me show you that again. I just got this email. South Bend, Indiana. So President Trump just had a rally in Michigan. Now he's having one in Indiana. So he seems to be hitting the Midwest. He hadn't really hit that yet. Is Michigan count as the Midwest? Is it the Rust Belt? Doesn't Michigan kind of count as the Midwest? Hold on. I'm going to look this up. But anyways, he's hitting this area that he hadn't really hit. There hasn't been a rally in Indiana, I don't think, since he became president. There was one in Iowa. Is Michigan in the Midwest? Which states are in the Midwest? Let's see. Well, in terms of a poll, I mean, it's up to what people think on ultimately, but about 80% of respondents classified Michigan as being in the Midwest. Okay, there you go. So I think it's not unreasonable to say that. Sorry, I just had to text my boss. Oops, I'm showing you my notifications. I like to look through them before I actually read you the comments, because some of them, especially because some of them aren't even about this. Let's see here. Okay, here's something. Garrett writes, maybe this wiretap isn't part of the Mueller investigation, but I think he can freely browse through the findings and use it. This is an excellent question, Garrett. So you're saying So this is not. I don't believe this is part of the. This is not part of the Mueller investigation. This is part of the federal investigation into Michael Cohen, which is different from the Mueller investigation. But I would think that if they found something relevant to Mueller, they could turn it over to the Mueller investigation. I don't see why they couldn't do that. So what you're making a good point here, Garrett. You're saying, look, even if it's not part of the Mueller investigation, it could end up being part of the investigation if they find stuff. If they find stuff that's relevant to it. Now, I don't know legally how all this works, so I'm not a lawyer, so I might be wrong about this, but I wouldn't be surprised if that were the case. So a good point, Garrett, you make. Oh, Edie Marie Trump says, I told people that you couldn't find my new channel on YouTube, and she said if you put in the hyphen, it comes right up. Really? I'm going to see, because I couldn't find it before. Let me see. I'm going to try it myself real quick. Oh, it does come out. Okay. All right. So now if you do search on YouTube now with a hyphen between agenda and free, then the new channel comes up. Okay. Thank you. We're going to stay on a couple more minutes here. So if you have any comments, get them in fast. We've been talking about this story that NBC News is reporting that federal investigators have been wiretapping the phone lines of Trump lawyer Michael Cohen. These wiretaps were going on at least several weeks in March and maybe early April. And they included, according to NBC News, one phone call at least with the White House that was listened in on. So we've been covering that story and getting your comments on it. I wonder if President Trump has said anything about it yet. Let's see. I'm just checking my news sources here. I don't see anything about any kind of Trump comments on it. No, he hasn't tweeted about it either. I'm guessing he will. If I hear more about this story after we're off the air, I will be posting about it on my Twitter. If you like breaking news, you can follow me on Twitter at Lookner, at Lookner. Also, be sure to follow and subscribe to us on our various Right Side, on our various social media platforms. On Facebook and YouTube, we're at Right Side Broadcasting. On Periscope, we're at RSBN TV. And on, what's the last one? Twitter, we're at RSB Network. And I forgot I hadn't checked the Facebook chat, so let me see what people are talking about in there before we wrap up the stream. Let's see here. Diana Pohl in the Facebook chat says, the only way for the DOJ to ever be able to amend this horrid blemish on themselves and restore Americans' faith in them again is to shut down this overreached, power-played, unethical witch hunt, and then to finally and fully prosecute all those who should have been in 2017 but weren't. Let's see here. Tammy Trescone Schwartz says, what they are doing is taking away our right to vote. If they don't like the way people voted, they find any reason to impeach. This is a bunch of BS. Our viewer Linda Kluzinski says, yes, there have been no rallies in Indiana since the campaign. As we talked about before, President Trump announced on May 10th, a week from today, he is having a rally in Indiana. Melinda Dale says, Trump will never be impeached. Walter Scott Swinbank says it is a war in the White House. Those are a sampling of some of the Facebook chat comments. Okay, I'm going to mention this one more time. I just got a question from Grant Petillo. Grant Petillo in the Periscope chat says, Lookner, what's your new channel? So real quick, in the coming days at some point, there is going to be a transition to Right Side Broadcasting. I am leaving Right Side to start my own channel. There's a whole announcement about this. If you go back to uploaded videos about a month ago, you'll see like an announcement from Right Side. And I hope Right Side flourishes and does even better and better and better. So I'm going to be leaving, and you're going to be seeing at least one new person, maybe more, exciting new people bringing you news here at Right Side. And some of the people who know that are saying, hey, where's your new channel? So real quick, the new channel, if you want to find it, is called Agenda Free TV. You can go to YouTube and search Agenda Free TV, and if you search it, Agenda Free TV, not TV show. There it is, Agenda Free TV. Make sure you put the hyphen in. You can also go, we're on Twitter. I'm on Twitter. The channel's on Twitter and Facebook. If you search Agenda Free TV on Twitter and Facebook, you can find it there. And there's a link to the YouTube channel on the Twitter page and on the Facebook page. So Agenda Free TV. You can subscribe if you want, and then when I start doing videos on that channel, you'll get them. So that's where I'll eventually be when this transition happens, which is going to be soon. And as I mentioned before, at least one of the new people, you'll be seeing her a lot on Right Side, is Tara Broderick. And I want to let you know, if you want to follow her on Twitter, you can follow her. She's very talented. You can follow her at TerraRSBN, at TerraRSBN. You'll be seeing more of her very soon. Okay, I think we're going to wrap this up in a second. Let me just see if there see if there's anything else I want to get to here. Again, I'll post more about this on my Twitter if I hear more stuff going on. I don't even know if the White House press briefing has started yet. Maybe it's still about to start. Let me see. I can get off the air, and then you can go watch that if it hasn't started yet on Right Side. It hasn't started yet. So if you want to, when this broadcast ends, the White House press briefing is supposed to start any moment now. So we have that already up on that's up on our YouTube page and our social media. Well, it's on our YouTube page. So when this is done, go watch that if you want on Right Side Broadcasting. I'm going to wrap up this stream now. I want to say thank you, by the way, to our moderators who've been moderating during the chat. JC, Barbara Braley, who else? Real Frank. And Jude was there earlier, and also Common Sense and Gleno on the website, and Guinevere, all the moderators. Thank you. Thank you to everybody who wrote in your comments. We really appreciate when you share your views so we can read them on the air. Thank you to everybody who donated. We are a viewer-supported network. If you like having an alternative to the mainstream media, if you like this coverage, please consider donating. Your donations are what keeps us on the air. You can always donate by going to the bottom of the YouTube chat. Click on the $ at the bottom of the YouTube chat to donate, or go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. If there's big news later today or tonight, we'll be back on the air. So keep an eye out for Right Side Broadcasting. And thank you for people saying thank you in the chat room. People like Linda. Let's see. Through Christ. We don't know. The transition is going to be soon through Christ, but I don't know exactly when. Probably sometime in the next week, few days. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Shutter Mafia, thank you. Let's see. Who else is saying thanks? Thank you, Chef Maga, Lori Sunshine, Tom O'Neill, Susan Reynolds. I'm just checking the Facebook chat as well. Thank you, Rob Stewart. Are you handy? Somebody in Facebook told me not to say their first name, so I won't. Billy Riley will see you. DM will see you. Susan Reynolds, everybody else there as well. All right, we're going to wrap this up. Thank you. Okay, I didn't say it. Thank you for watching, everyone, and maybe we'll see you later today with some more news. But for now, I am Steve Lookner. This is Right Side Broadcasting. We hope you have a great day, and we will see you soon here at RSBN.